are back with On the Road of Recovery with Dee from Zanesville. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming out and joining us. Could you start off by describing what your childhood was like?
Mom and Dad both worked. They both had full-time jobs. Both of them, Dad had a part-time garbage route. I have two older brothers and an older sister. Mom and Dad divorced when I was young, and he started having kids by other women. So I come from a civ group of 26, and whatever family he was with was kind of the family he took care of. So a lot of the times I felt neglected, and I looked like him and I act like him. So when Mom was upset with him, she kind of took it out on me. So I always felt isolated and alone. My brothers and sisters, my older brother got married at like 16. My other brother, he ran women like Dad did, and my sister did her own thing. So, you know, I just always felt like I was an outsider, and I was lighter than the rest of them. I have a smaller nose than the rest of them. I got a lot of flack. You know, I was awful small, so it was pretty rough some days. Some days it was rough. You know, I was just trying to find my own way.
Gotcha. So when did you start experimenting with alcohol or drugs?
I left and went to Texas with a guy. He was in the military, and I was on the sports teams in high school, so I kind of just used alcohol to fit in. When I went to Texas and was on a military base, that's when things took off, and I started having a lot of feelings and just an empty void for my dad and missing him. So I came back to Ohio and I started riding with his motorcycle club, and then I got around to other things, and so like the void the alcohol would fill for a while, and then it got to the point where it just didn't fill it. So I just started experimenting with the other stuff, but like active addiction didn't take off for me until like the late 20s.
Okay.
So and I could always maintain and hold it down because my parents was real strict about what an alcoholic or a drug addict looked like, and as long as you could hold a job and function daily, that you wasn't that person. Neither one of my parents used. My dad's father was a raging alcoholic. His brother was a raging alcoholic. So I didn't see it at home. It was just fitting in and filling the void and trying to be better, trying to be more, or trying to be up to everybody else's standards. I don't know what the real issue was, but it got really crazy really fast. Really crazy.
How can you describe some of those feelings that you were struggling with, towards the end of your active addiction time?
The first feeling was, am I enough? Will I ever be enough? Like people with my family would say, my brothers and sisters would say, you must be white, you got a small nose. And, I come home with braids and I was trying to be too black. And at the end of the road, and it was just trying to be somebody. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to get to that point. I am gay, so like I wasn't tapping into that because, that wasn't who we were or what we did. And if you did it in a closet, and I kind of not geared for that. At the end of the road, it was just looking in the mirror and somebody looking back, being able to just see a person, anybody, like, and at least me like that person, even if nobody else did. So that was my end of the road type thing. That was like, but it wasn't enough to change anything. And I think by the time I got to the end of the road, I had started working at a company and they started random drug testing.
Okay.
So I went in and I told them I had an issue, and my goal was to get off of work, get paid, but they sent me to counseling.
Oh, okay.
So I started to see a therapist that was really patient with me. And by then, now I'm starting to have, I'm seeing a psychiatrist. We're tapping into some stuff. So I started having flashbacks of childhood trauma, and some sexual stuff, some molestation and stuff like that. So now I'm using even more because I'm thinking if I could just if I could turn myself inside out and clean the insides, But like the using just kept going on, and it just didn't stop, and it didn't get better, and it didn't stop the pain. It didn't make it okay. But I was still working, so I wasn't that bad. So then my parents told me, like that's ringing out, that if you got a job and you have some things, you might not be an addict. So now it's like, as long as I can keep a job and keep like a new car and a new motorcycle and things, I'm not as bad as everybody else.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a tough thing to really think about, and to really having those different people telling you things, and you want to believe them because part of it is that denial. So I definitely hear what you're saying. So at what point did you decide, or how did you decide to enter recovery?
At the end of the road, I had one bout with the law, and it was a random domestic. I did 30 days, but I had a good job, so they got me out every day for work release.
Okay.
And so at the end of the road, I woke up one day and I looked in the mirror and I had no idea who was there. I woke up, the sun didn't shine, leaves didn't change colors, flowers didn't bloom. I had been seeing a therapist for a while. It was like 285 degrees. It was Hades hot. And I had on a flannel shirt and I was sweating buckets, and I went to her office and I said, I need help. And she's like, what? And, you know, she made me say it because, like, it's not real until you say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm an addict. And as soon as I said it, I tried to take it back. By now, every weekend, I'm tearing my microwave apart because I thought I hid drugs in it. And, you know, I'm having a flat tire, so I'm getting out of my car and flattening the other tires and busting my windows out. And, you know, nobody wanted to be a part of who I was. So I go to her and I say, I need help. And that was the only woman I've ever trusted, the only person in my life I ever believed in. And when she told me something, it was gold. Mm-hmm. So she told me, she said, I'm going to call this place and they're going to get you in. And I remember she hung up and she said, you need to stay clean for 2 weeks and then go down there.
Okay.
And like the addict in me said, are you talking about 2 calendar weeks or 2 weeks? Because there's a difference between 14 days and 10 days.
Yes.
You know, so, and when she said 14 days, I said, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die, you know. And so she called the place and they said, come down. And it happened to be in New Lex. And I, like, because my parents also told me about New Lex. There's no black people down there, so don't go down there playing around. So I automatically had an excuse. I can't go down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I did stay clean, and I did go down there because I promised this woman, and she believed in me, and I had to believe in what she was telling me. So I put myself in treatment, and I found every reason not to be there. Every reason. They were all white. They were all fat. The girls in there sold their butt to get drugs. They lost their kids. I'm not like them. But that place saved my life. And at the end of the day, I did that 6-week program, and everybody that worked there had to work a step through me. 1 more day and you got a day off. 2 more days of dealing with her and you got the weekend off. So they all worked a step through me. And at the end of 3 months, it was a 6-week program, some sicker than ever. At the end of 3 months, it clicked. It just really clicked. You know, alcohol wasn't really my thing, but they took me to an AA meeting, and a girl was standing behind a podium chair, and I just started crying. Right at that moment, I got up the next day, the sun was shining, the birds was chirping, you know, flowers was blooming, mm-hmm. and I knew that I had a shot. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't easy. Like, I used to hear people get a year clean and say life was great, or 3 months, or 90 days, or 8 months. At 8 months, I was still trying to find a way to shoot an angle. Mm-hmm. I still wanted to get high. I didn't want to feel like I felt and have the lifestyle I had. I still wanted to get high. I liked the lifestyle, mm-hmm. you know. Mm-hmm. So the transition was really hard for me, and I come from such a big family in Zanesville, and I don't have their story to tell, but all of them have many issues that they could probably work on. So, like, to be around them was a struggle for me. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got into treatment. I went to meetings every day. And I remember waking up one day, like, and thinking life was going to get better. At 18 months clean, my older sister had died. They said she had cancer. I had been to her house. Everything told me she had AIDS. A little while later, my younger sister that I helped raise had passed away. She had a massive heart attack. And you still got to stay clean through them things. And you still got to work steps, and you still got to call your sponsor. And for me, it was, recovery didn't start when I put the dope down. Recovery started when you go through some shit and you get to the other side, you're still clean. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to work through some things to know that you've came to a point where, you know, and everybody asked me how I got here, and I was like, It's 6 years. I woke up one day and I had 6 years. I just was too stupid to stop coming, you know. And I've done a lot of work on myself, and there was a lot of dreams I never knew I could dream, and now they're reality, you know.
Can you share some specific about some specific instance about those dreams?
Well, I knew I never wanted kids, and I never wanted kids because I don't know if it was because I knew I was gay, or I never wanted kids because I was self-centered and I couldn't give them what they wanted and me get what I needed. I did a lot of running with motorcycle clubs and ripping and raring and just. But the dreams that comes true is when I was here long enough, and I reached out and I watched women lose their kids and get their kids, and I decided that I wanted to be a foster parent. And in the process of a junkie that was diagnosed with bipolar with a domestic violence charge, they gave me a foster care license. And the dream is that I fell in love with my kids, and I've adopted 3, and I'm in the process of adopting 3. But along with them kids came some heartaches because, you know, I can have an addict to act a fool out in the rooms, and it's okay, we love you, but I want my kids to act a certain way and be a certain way. So like the struggle has been real. In the process of this, I bought a house, I had new cars, I fell in love with the woman of my dreams, I married her, we divorced. She tried to charge me with child abuse and neglect and domestic violence. And I didn't have to burn her house down. And I didn't have to get high, and I could lay in a fetal position and feel that because I have an active step in my life, I have an active tradition in my life, and I have an active sponsor in my life. It was the hardest time of my life. If I would have lost my kids, I don't know if I could have came back from that. You know, 3 of my kids got mental health. And like God just keeps showing up and firmly placing his hand in the small of my back and just pointing me to where I need to be. And some days I'm crazy, but as long as I don't pick up the dope, even if I'm acting out on behaviors, even if I'm not working the steps and working a program, if I don't pick up the dope, I have a shot at tomorrow. You know, and I truly believe I'm not one of them person that's going to go back out there for 1 or 2 a week, a month. I feel like I'll die out there, you know, and I feel like I got all these little people, you know, looking at me. I've never not put my kids to bed. I've never not been there when they woke up. I've never not taken them to school. But then on the other hand, I can take these kids into my house, and when everybody else is talking about their parents as a piece of shit because they lost custody or because they don't love their kids, I can say their parents are sick. You know, and I can feel their parents' sickness because there's some days that I'm sick and I don't want a parent. And I don't want an adult, and I don't want a recovery. Some days I'm mad because I can't act out on the behaviors I used to act out on when I was getting high. You know, but I don't want to cause harm. You know, so this is supposed to be a harm reduction program. And I feel like, and just like, I get so bent out of shape about people leaving their treatment facilities and never looking back. You know, I went through a 6-week program, was there 4 months, and have never relapsed, ever. 24 years clean. So like I feel like I need to go back and I need to give back, and even when I'm in pain I need to show up to let another woman know that this shit hurts. I want to act out. I want to pick up the 2-legged dope. I want to go out boosting, but I'm here and I'm in pain and it's going to get better. And some days I just white knuckle it, I grit my teeth, and I just keep showing up, you know. And some days I don't even know why God has blessed me with the gifts he has. But my kids look at me and the love in their eyes and the idolization. And, you know, when I leave the house and they be like, we want to go to a meeting, why can't we go to a meeting? You know, because they don't know no other mom. You know, they don't know the pain that's inside. I just had to sit my oldest son down, he's 15, and explain to him about the childhood traumas I've had. Because some of the mistakes he's making as a man and the way he talks to girls, I need you to understand. You know? Yeah. And that's things that the literature tells me. That's things that my sponsor tells me. That's things I see men talking to their sons about. You know? Yeah. So, like, I just feel like recovery has given me every dream that I didn't even know I had. I didn't even know it was okay to dream this big. You know, I used to dream about, you know, new Harley Davidson or Lamborghini, and now I just dream about the first time I stood one of my kids on the beach, or my son's first football game, or like, like, walking in and flipping the light switch and the lights come on.
Right, right.
Like that's a big dream for some addicts.
Yeah,
Flushing
yeah.
and the toilet flushes. I mean,
Yeah.
just the basic dreams. Like, my mom was diagnosed with cancer back in September. If she went to the hospital, it was supposed to be 3 days, and I manipulated my 5 kids in my house in Zanesville, her 3 kids in her house, and stayed in Columbus with her for 18 days. And didn't feel like I had to go nowhere and do nothing and be tweaking and geeking and hiding and flying. It was just okay to sit there and feel the pain.
Mm-hmm.
She was just sick the other day, and I had to take her, and I thought she was going to have surgery, but like, a lot of people don't have their moms, and a lot of people don't have their kids, and a lot of people don't have that wife that divorced them, and that I still see her and know she's okay and safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was
Yep.
never me. If you didn't want to be a part of me, I want to destroy your life.
Yep.
So like, I feel like the program just keeps giving to me, even when I don't want to pay attention to it. Like, someone will show up in my life, or one day I'm flying down 70 and traffic's a bear, and I was and I'm just screaming and I'm hitting on the horn and I want people to move, and I looked over and there was an alcoholic rolling past me waving like this from Zanesville. So like, I feel like them's the little signs, and recovery has taught me to look for them signs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So like, I just feel it's just been an amazing process for me to know who I am. And a lot of people don't like me, a lot of people love me, but when I look in the mirror, I'm okay with who looks bad.
That's super important. And being okay with who you are, and some of the things that you talked about, of being able to be a parent to children who have had struggles and who've had, trauma and whatnot, and you being the person that can help them break that cycle is just, that's just amazing. And you can help them walk through the pain that they're feeling, and know that pain doesn't last forever. It may last longer than a day, but it doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
That there is a solution, and there is joy as well. So.
And to just see their giggles and laughter, like my kids, like one of my kids was talking about my ex, and he was like, well, she's acting like a, and I'm like, I really think Mom might like have some things going on, whether it might be she's tapping into addiction, she had underlying mental health, but we're just going to love her. We're just going to let her be where she's at, because that's who we're trying to be today.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like recovery and addiction and all the trauma and all the pain has programmed me to be exactly who I am today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I feel like it takes some of them hard knocks, smacked upside the head, beat around, to make us take notice to who we want to be. And I don't want to be my father.
Mm-hmm.
I idolize a lot of my family, but I don't want to be my family, and I don't want to be better than them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be better in spite of where I came from. I want to be better in spite of what I've missed, and like, I was raised in the 60s, so like, they're on family vacations. When I love you, it means I put food on the table. Mm-hmm. And when I hug my kids, they know I love them. Or when I give them a fist bump, or when we're running in the backyard, I don't have to do all that extra. I don't have to dress it up. I don't got to dress up to go to the rooms. I don't got to dress up to show up for other addicts. I just got to show up. I just got to show up and speak the words that I know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about how, what you do on a daily basis, like really break it down to be able to feel that, peace and serenity that clearly you exude?
On a daily basis, I need to drop to my knees and thank God for everything that He has given me. And then I need to stay down there long enough to listen for the answers. I need to give back to another addict. I need to give back to society, that everything that I've taken from them. And I need to know that everything I have can be taken away. For the first 6.5 years I was here, I went to a meeting every night because I didn't know what else to do. I go to meetings when I want to. I go to meetings when I don't want to. I go to meetings when I feel like I have to. But I also need to know when to give me a break. I also need to know when it's okay to take a step back and love thee. Because when I got here, they said we can't tell nobody no, and we can't say no to the program. But the reality is, if I don't keep enough for me, I don't have nothing to give you. The literature keeps me in the program.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it keeps me accountable.
Right, right. And that accountability is so very important. The other part that is very much present in your life is transparency. That you are, and somebody had said the other day, transparency with discretion, of being able to, when to what's appropriate to say, not for the shock value, being able to really, that genuineness. And clearly you have both accountability and transparency very much as the way that you live today.
Thank you. I mean, a lot of people tell me that I kind of talk harsh. But when I first got here, I got recovery harsh. It was harsh back in the 80s, 90s, but I also talk sometimes in a harsh way because I need to know people to know how serious this is and how quickly this disease will creep up on you and take your life.
Yes.
My disease doesn't want to take my family, my car, my house. My disease is trying to kill me. And if I'm not adamant about in your face about how my disease works, you don't know how serious it is. And I'm really and around here it's really hard because there's no women here with clean time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of nice AA recovery, but no NA recovery.
Okay.
And it's hard for me to get fed because there's not many, they're on newcomers or sober living or, you know what I'm saying? So I get kind of intense because this is my life, and I need every one of you guys here so I can stay here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of people says, I can be kind of vulgar and rash and harsh and kind of in your face and blunt, but
genuine is the other word for it.
Yeah, it's how can I get offended by something someone says to me when I was in a dope house doing sexual favor in front of 25 people? Now I'm offended.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes I can be kind of harsh, and I would say I'm working on it, but that's a lie. I'm not. I just don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I'm talking about my recovery, and I'm talking about how I got clean, and how I got clean with a bunch of old women from Columbus and New Jersey saying, sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. If I want to get high, I'll come talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
You got nothing to give me right now, newcomer. So,
mm-hmm.
Another thing I do to try to stay here is I try to remain teachable. Because you can't graft a new idea on a closed mind. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I go to different towns where they don't know me. And when I walk in a room, they're giving me phone numbers and literature and meeting schedules because I need to remember how it was to be a newcomer. I need to remain teachable. I need to be humble. I need to think that I'm one bad decision away from getting that white key tag again.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that's one my thing is I try to remain teachable,
mm-hmm.
And let people be who they are. So they allow me to be who I was, and I got to remember how crazy I was coming into the rooms and how I didn't follow suggestions because I have I forget quickly, and when my sponsors ain't acting accordingly, or my kids, or my family, or my dog, because I'm a control freak. So that's when the steps work for me. Step 1, 2, and 3, and then my sponsor puts me into the traditions, and then we shoot into the concepts. So it makes it real simple on a daily basis. It really does.
That's beautiful. Absolutely. So for the person that is out there that is really struggling who's really struggling to get sober, what would you say is one of those words of wisdom that really speaks for you?
If you don't pick it up, you can't put it in your system. I mean, it's real simple. Just come in, and like I try to tell people, come to the rooms. If someone don't like you, they don't like you. If someone don't want to listen to you cry, bitch, and complain, they'll leave. Tell them call their sponsor. But you come in here and you do what you need to do. And I try to remind them, you might just come in to get a cup of coffee. That's okay. Keep coming for that cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. You might come in to see because they're giving out free cookies. Just come. Because I feel like if you bring the body long enough, the mind will follow. Mm-hmm. If you're coming in just to see, I used to come in to see what the hell she wear. Who's doing who?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that I got this program accidentally. It wasn't intended for me. Mm-hmm. So just keep coming. And eventually you're gonna put down the dope. I've seen a girl in a room and everybody said she's still getting high, but she's coming. Because if she quits getting high today, she'll probably kill herself.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So just keep coming.
Yeah.
You know, just keep coming. If you haven't picked up the dope today, you're successful. You know, if you haven't caused harm today, you're successful. You know, it's a rat race out there. Like I tell people all the time, I couldn't get high today. I couldn't use like these people use. Look, I'm not strong enough for that. That's a whole job. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So just keep coming, man. Just keep coming. A lot of people ain't gonna like you. A lot of people's gonna talk about you. You know, I've heard girls come into the rooms and they're like, she looks like a whore. She's been on a stripper pool for the last 15 years. That's all she got, whore clothes.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
She'll clean up.
Yep.
Just love her. She'll clean up.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I just keep coming. Like I can't even say that enough. You know, find someone. Even if you got to find that one person and make them your higher power, make that person your higher power. Just keep showing up.
Absolutely. Is there anything that we missed that you would like to share with our audience?
Don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle happens. That's it. Like, you know, you might not like this meeting tonight, but there's going to be another one tomorrow. You know, because I didn't like that dope house last night, but I stayed. You know, or I went to another one. You know, so like, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle happens.
Yeah.
And when you get here, join in no matter what comes. You know, basic. That's all I live by. You know.
Beautiful. So we really appreciate you coming out to Zanesville today. Your story is definitely going to help some people that are struggling out there. You are very much proof that there's a way out of addiction.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Say I love you. Blow a kiss. Good job.